and I kind of discovered you and Herbie Hancock at the same time. I was just playing guitar at that point, and I had this one crazy summer where I came to see you play at the Shepherd's Bush Empire in London in 1995, and about 2 months later I saw Herbie Hancock play. My brother took me to see Herbie Hancock play, and that was the kind of set the course for me for until now, really.
Wow, well, I can see the Herbie stuff for sure. I mean, that's my sort of vocabulary for jazz is pretty much all from Herbie Hancock. Just the way, because it's kind of for someone who's sort of a slacker about it like I am. There's so many voicings and fourths that allow you to possibly get it wrong and get it right. You know, there's more right answers in that style. You know, so when I play fake jazz, I always go to these voicings that I learned off of Herbie Hancock records, because it's something that but he's on a whole different level, obviously. But that blows me away that you didn't take your piano playing as seriously, because when I heard you first, I had pneumonia, and I'd never been sick.
That's always the best way to hear me.
Yeah, because I was delirious. I'd been sick for like 5 days. I'd had 104 fever, and and it was kind of sort of in this sort of weird depressive state that you get in. I hate this fucking thing. Anyway, to make a long story long, yeah, so I'm watching television, and I was just sort of in, I mean, I was told because I'd had a fever so long, that I might go into this horrible convulsions that people go into, which never happened, but the TV came on, and basically all I could see for a few frames was your ass and a stool, and the piano, and I thought, that must be me, but the piano playing is really much, much better, and it didn't sound like me. I just thought, I didn't have, no one else was really playing piano at the moment on television, so I thought, oh, they're showing some old thing, but I never played that well in my life. and then camera panned out, and in fact, it wasn't my ass, it was your ass. And you were playing it off. It was absolutely blew me away.
We have a pretty similar ass, I think. Oh, thank you.
I didn't realize. That's the first thing I found.
It's amazing to hear you say that.
So you still play guitar?
I still play. I mean, I play bad guitar. I went through a whole kind of Kurt Cobain. I went through a whole dead rock star phase. So Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Buckley, Nick Drake, all that kind of stuff. I played a lot of that in my teens, and then. I think I don't know, the piano seemed much more natural to me from about 16, and then I just kind of concentrated on it there and then. I still don't read music very well, but I'm starting to learn now. I've started seeing someone who's helping me learn kind of proper music theory and what things mean and how to write notes down and stuff. But I spent a lot of my teens kind of just learning other people's solos, so copying a lot of Herbie Hancock solos and Oscar Peterson and some simpler stuff, Count Basie solos and things like that. And I guess it wasn't until I was 19 or 20 that I went back to songwriting. So I left the songwriting thing behind for ages, and then I started to try and bring them together in my early 20s. So, but when I first saw you at the Shepherd's Bush Empire, I had not seen someone use the piano like all the rock stars I liked at the same time, and that was what blew me away, kind of bringing those two things together. So I have stolen so much from you, you've no idea. I've literally stolen so many of my moves and my jokes and my ideas. So I should pay you, really.
Well, then I'd have to pass the money on to the people that I stole from, and then I could have to then refund you some, because I probably stole some things back. So that's the nature of music. It's
so who did you steal from? Who did you steal from then?
Well, this is kind of abstract, but Andy Kaufman, in some weird way, is a comedian, I think musically you can't get away from Elton John, just as a model. Little Richard, anyone that played rock piano, my whole feeling was that rock and roll had gotten bigger, louder, more punchier, not necessarily better, but that there was no one of my era yet at the time that I started that was doing for the piano in our era what it had done before. So I just kind of thought, well, there's just an obvious cyclical niche here that may be worth my quitting my job waiting tables when I was 27 to pursue, because I was 27 when I formed the Ben Folds 5 band, quite late. But it was just from observing, so I mean the whole language and the whole vocabulary of it, I've said vocabulary 3 times, came from
It's a good jazz word.
It is a good jazz word. That and dynamic will get you through anything. And then when you get sick of those, then you can use the word cadence.
I bluffed my way through it, yeah. Cadence!
Well,
there's still...
Cadence is what it's all about.
Go on, you say first. There's still very few people... there's still very few people these days, I think, that are really playing, as you say, kind of really good rock piano. I keep expecting someone to kind of arrive and take forward the kind of thing, take on the baton of what you're doing or whatever. There's no one there. Why do you think that is? Is it because the piano's too hard, or because it's not cool enough, or what? What is it?
Well, I think it's a challenge. It's a challenge technically to do it, and as you know, it's like you often play with a bassist and drummer, right? And it's sonically you're filling up a lot of a certain kind of space, but then there's a whole other thing that's not getting addressed, which is where the guitars and all these other things, people are used to hearing that. It just is different. It's just a different sound. It's really difficult. I mean, physically, that to play a piano like you do, you actually have to be in a lot better shape than a guy just doing it on a guitar. It's actually difficult.
Yeah.
And I just think it's more of a challenge. And when I came along, it was about using a real piano. So we moved our own piano States for 3 years. Just me and the 2 guys.
I remember reading that. And it kind of my first tour manager, when he asked me, how I wanted to tour, and I said I always want to have a real piano. And he goes, are you sure? Because it means you won't earn any money, for a very long time. And I went, that's fine. That's what Ben Folds did. So, he'll remember that when I said that. I always had to have a real piano. I mean, it's such a huge difference for me just having a real piano there. I can't do what I do without a real piano. It doesn't feel right.
It's not, because it's not the same instrument. The electric piano is not the same instrument, and it's not like you're